Hello. We were talking in regards of giving thanks to the Lord, and especially because we're very happy today that everything is just working great. That we are just passing by all this hot weather, and we are gathering together to perhaps and this year, there's like a four national celebrations to go for in order to just wrap the year. So the time has passed by really fast. And let us just recall Jeremiah 33:3, which says, "Call me, and I will answer you, and I'll show you great and mighty things you um, never known." Right? And we're gonna put ourselves in the hands of the Holy Spirit, right? So He can guide our speech. And today we're gonna talk about something that is very important. I have received several inquiries in regards of education or higher education for women in the Christian area, right? A lot of people, they don't want to go through all these conversations because they learn that we may have to stay at home in order to avoid all kinds of confrontations and perhaps mistakes or something that will ruin their lives and the relationship with the partner, right, as a couple. Because there's a lot of things going on. There is a lot of influence of so many ideologies and cultures and ways of living, right? We all know, right, that people through the years have created a mysticism in regards of a man, that because he was created first, and that because he's the one who Eve came out, and because Eve sinned, and because now the man was in the condition, right. But as we read the Bible, right, we find out that there's some other things, right, by going back and researching where the Bible came from, who wrote the books of the Bible, and where are those original documents where all these truths come from, right? And we find out that there was another female figure called Lilith, right, which she was built according to those scriptures, was created along with Adam, the same level, the same power. And Lilith refused to give up, right, uh, her individuality, right, her power, right, because the man was all the time coming over, saying to her, "Give yourself to me, let me govern you," right? And he was all the time challenging, right? And only God knows how many creations he made. The thing is that a lot of people believe that this world was created especially for people, and it's not that. The Lord created whom, right? And we are one of uh, His creations. Just the same like the sea, just the same like the planet, just the same like the plants, just the same like the animals. We are His creation from His hand. And He blew on our nostrils, right? And our nose, heavenly breath, right? And that's how eventually we ended up believing that's how it makes us, right, heavenly. The Bible explains, right, Constantino, which is the man who went to put all the holy scriptures, and he chose all the best scriptures that were able to be found, right, in order to unify the humans that were living as they were conquering, right, kingdoms and people, and because there was a lot of betrayal in between those highly and all the very well educated government, and with all the people with the high ranks, and there was a lot of debt, and there was a lot of miscare, and that's how Constantino is the one who receives the blessings to have order to have written the Bible with all the books that we now have. And there is some on and off that the people take some books in, some books out, right? The thing is that along our life, we have heard how many martyrs of history, how many martyrs of politics, how many martyrs of taking the step in to start some sort of government in order to organize the people to avoid the death, the killings, the betrayal, and the bad habits, the unhealthy environments, and by gathering together and making things right, the people and missionaries right were able to put together people right, as they were thinking, as they were going from country to country, as they were looking for the holiest people in order to find out God, to come in and help us out to live in peace, right? From the monks is the way people came in as they were practicing shaping the people's hair because the epidemics, and because the pests like lice and fleas, scabies, and all kinds of things, like little things that the human mind and the human people have always been attacked by, right? And they develop strategies in order to teach people how to live in a clean environment and how to make a living. And it was the holy people, the one who came down to help the humankind and to better their lives. So our dream is to better our lives to live with Christ, our Lord, right? And so by working in this way, right, and by have had Jesus Christ in our life as we went into the personal experience with Him, nothing is gonna tell us what to believe and what not to believe, and why we decided to be in this kind of mission, right? Our mission is in each one of us is to be educated so we can perform a job that is pleasurable in the eye of the Lord, right? And having the commands of the Lord established in our life, and suddenly we find out as we go through our education, right? Because we have the public education in order to help us out, to gather together, to be in a teamwork, right? And for the people who live and grow up with a private education, but they had the group also, right, where they were able to learn. There are some people who have homeschooling, right, and those were because they have a hardships of transportation, they have hardships of being bothered by some neighbors. Eventually, they had to move away because this is something very smart, and people need to learn how to live this way. That when somebody bothers you around the neighborhood, really have to move away. Otherwise, the police is going to come around, Otherwise, it's going to be an outbreak of violence. And when there is not an outbreak of violence, a physical violence, there is an outbreak of passive violence, right? The difference in between one and the other one is that the person comes over and hits you, and the other one is far away doing wrong to you. And it doesn't stop from being violence, right? So, through that, the missionaries teach and have taught people how to live a better life. And that's how the medicine came in. That's how the big developments in science. That's how the government was established. That's how we learn how to live a better life with Christ, right? And so, by working on with the same blessings, right, we answer the question that the Bible says that if people don't work, is not going to eat. And it's not talking about just a male. It's talking about females, and it's talking about the boys and girls, the children. I don't know if you remember, if you have read the Bible, it says over there, instruct the children as they are very little. But when they grow up, do not depart from the right teaching, right? And so children, right, have the responsibility to move around their parents' business and learn their parents' business and learn the strategies, right, if possible, as much as possible, right, so they can be, right, knowledgeable of what's going on. A lot of people, when it comes to the test for the exams to get into the university, some of them said, "Oh, I don't understand why the son of this man, the son of this lady, the son of that, just get in without no problems at all, right?" And it happens that those children are being trained since they are little because their parents allow them to have the training, because their parents have the responsibility and the patience to teach them, right? And they know everything that is related with, and honestly, in order to learn something, to be able to market the skills to make a living, it has to be since they are little. That's the reason that the public education provides a rainbow of opportunities for people to get to choose what they really want to do in life. Because nowadays, the people, right, parents, the elders, the old people, the some of the parents, they don't really get involved in what the children want to do, because there's been killings, there's been a lot of people who do not appreciate what it means to train the children, right, in certain careers, because something has happened. They've been, I mean, maybe somebody came and just stole their money, or maybe they betrayed, and maybe it was a very it was a degree or profession with a lot of risk, right? But there is really no degrees without risk at all. When people are not in the honest practice of learning and training themselves in order to make a living, there's always going to be a test around. When people do not care for to live and purchase a house and own a house and have a secure life and pay for the house and have a transportation and think in living as a human being with the resources and what is needed, there's always going to be, something really wrong that would cause you a lot of tears, that would cause you a lot of pain, that would cause you the loss of something. Which for the people who never went to school, who never go to school, will never understand what it takes to go to school. With no resources, deprived from the permit of their parents to go to school, because a lot of people, a lot of parents, they say, you don't have shoes, you don't go to school. You don't have clothes, you don't go to school. We don't have money to purchase for the little one. You're gonna have to just redo. the same year, or just to wait 1 year around the house because we don't have resources, right? Nowadays there is a lot going on around ministries and thrift stores and places like garage sales where people at the right time they gather all the clothes from their little ones in order to sell for a penny, right? There is no such a thing like the little child is gonna stay behind, right? When the parents see that there is no way that they can deal with their children, they need to put their children under foster care in order to allow their children to move on in their education. A lot of people say we don't do that because we believe it is wrong. People, when they just put their minds and just to sacrifice the mind of a child, right, untrained, you have no idea how bad it is to do that. It is very advisable to put the children in foster care. Meanwhile, people, the adults, find a better ways to make a living, right? Because the children are going to go to the neighbor and then to the other neighbor, and they're going to play with the neighbors, and they're going to go to the park, and they're going to go to the city, and they're going to come back, and eventually maybe they're never going to come back because there's so much going on, right? The law is very strict nowadays. The parents have to be with the children, otherwise they go to jail. And so that's something you need. People might just give it a thought. So we have created the medicine, right? The medicine, which is one of the strategies we work right in order to learn the guidelines in order to support the life, right? uh, for a long time with a clear and healthy mind, and when it requires to be there for to take responsibilities, right, and commitments in order to make a living. And a lot of people they wonder if what they do is good, right? There is some health aides, some nursing helping other nurses, and there is some different kinds of levels. There are techs, which meanwhile they go through the years of training in order to graduate so they can be able to train others and to have their own business at home, even though if they are hired in whatever dependency, right? Sometimes it's good to work if you have a degree at home because it provides you an extra space for people to get to know you. And then you can go from just in case if something happen around the workspace, right? Um, the medical school is an appropriate path for women, right? First of all, because they're children, right? Uh, Second hand, because the pregnancy. Third thing, because eventually she cares for the father and the mother, whether if are the father-in-law, the mother-in-law, or theirs, right? And it's something very important, right? The medication and everything. A lot of people nowadays they just get into the habit of going to the pharmacy, right, to purchase painkillers. And that's how everything gets a little bit stressful, right? In regards of that people have or might have some other kind of illness untreated for a long time. And when they eventually call the ambulance, it's already too late for something to be, um, you know, safe, right? And it's not just for the patients, right? It's also for the practitioners, right? For the professionals, for people that to gather together the people you have seen or they have come to see you for whatever reasons, and to engage into send birthday cards or inviting them to come back, right? So you get to know, right, to make some garage sales around some specific areas, or just to have a dinner, or have some sort of like a chat with people in order to show some concern, right? So like post some banners in order to make yourselves known to people, right? Because it is a very good way to market the business, right? And it's very good to get to know the people because people need have the responsibilities to have a general examination annually, right? And also to take care of their skin, to check the calories they're eating at home, right? To check the water also because a lot of times there might be some mixed pipes under the ground, and it's very important that when people feel that the water is no longer good, whether if it's turning your skin into another color, whether if you feel something crawling in your head scalp, whether if you feel that something is not right with the nails of your feet, your toenails, right? Whether if you feel that you have any kind of problems, right? It might be a compressed disc from the backbone or vertebra, right? And all those little things are very important, right? Not to wait too much until figure it out what to do about it, right? There's a lot of complaints in regards of the people seen in the emergency. Not because the ambulance comes in and gets you from your house, it means that there will be a doctor to see you, right? Which it means there is a need for physicians, right? There is a need for physicians. I know two or three people who went to emergency, right? And they went there for 2 days, right? They went there for 2 days, almost 2 days, and because as the ambulance was rescuing people from burning, people from delivering, people very elder, uh, in a really bad conditions, they were being taken care first rather than the urgency also. But people were in their feet, they were waiting to be seen, even though they had some pain, right? But and that's what it is, right? Um, a lot of people quit to become a certain worker into the medical field because they find out different things and they just feel that it's too much investments, right? But it doesn't matter whatever that happened. There is always a way to fight back or to learn strategies in order to be in control. There's going to be in certain times where people get mad or upset because they've been there for quite a while, right? And they have kept the pain also through that time, and they're running out of medication. Perhaps they're running out of financial resources, and so they're going to go and hit. They're going to go in jail. They're going to call names. They're going to start, and that makes the service really hard to give because their behaviors, right? And so eventually they're going to call some other ambulance and transport those people who do not behave well to another hospital so maybe they can have a better chance to provide service. And but really the patients don't have to leave, right? You just have to call the security, right? And you have to just take them in private and provide them something to calm down, and there is so much of medication you can provide uh, to maintain the people calm. Meanwhile, you find out through the blood sample, through some sample of urine, through some general examination to find out what is really happening to people. And but it's really hard. Sometimes when they're unconscious, they're gonna do things that they might do in secret. Sometimes when they get unconscious, they might go and hit you. They might go and do something because the unconscious brings up fears and troubles that you don't have any idea what it can happen. And it's very advisable for those people who make some noises out there and is already tired and you give them something to calm down, to be always with another person or to keep the security officer just by to be sure that they're going to be put in order, right? Because There's really nothing else to do. There is a lot of work, and there is not many people willing to work because a lot of people quit. There is a lot of people who quit. When people has been seen in the world, when they see that there is no uh, better, right? They don't, that they're not feeling better. They get upset. They are not. They don't cooperate. They just decide that they put themselves into terminate their lives because etc. and etc. Right? But as you keep on with the interest and to keep them come down, meanwhile the blood tests come back, right? And the testing takes maybe like 3 to 5 minutes to come back. Those are fast results in order to find out what is really happening with these people, right? It really doesn't take for a long time. You also might take a urine test to find out some other kind of things, right? Uh, Especially the kind of narcotics or medication they've been using, and to learn the side effects and to make a file for these people so by when they come back, the people know who the person is. One of the hardest things is the identity theft, right? The identity theft, the people come in with a name and with a family that don't belong, and that makes really hard, right? Because all the information in regards to that person is already there, and it's very dangerous for everybody is to just go ahead and assume that the person with that name is the person the hospital has seen before, right? And that's how people have complications later that are not for to really people. I don't know. Maybe one day the fingerprinting will come in style to find out really who's the person we're talking to, right? Meanwhile, we have to just work with, start from the beginning all the time to take the blood type, to take the blood sample, to take the urine sample to find out what's going on. And this is something very expensive for the patient, but since we have all these kind of problems around, instead of committing a mistake to treat the patient right with the wrong record, it's better to be safe than sorry, right? Um, for all the people who are ready to quit, we would like you to inspire you a way of thinking and hanging in there. Because to be in charge is what it takes, right? To find another person, right, along with you in order to make people understand, because sometimes people who come with the patient and see that the patient is complaining and there is not going to be better, right, for them, meanwhile until maybe 2, 3, 4 days, which is the time that the body start to to throw in what is not good, right? And eventually 1 minute after minute, right, receiving the new blood that it comes into the body in order to fight back whatever that is affecting the people. So just right there, being in charge is the most important thing, right? Um, and yes, it is very important to go into the medical careers, and all the females that are Christian and still thinking and going in, you're doing the right thing. So because serving the humans is to care for the lamb, and that's our mission in this life, to care for the lamb, especially when they are running out of energy, especially when they have no strength, right? Especially when the hard times come in, that's when it is advisable to stick in and help the lamb of the Lord, right? The sheep. right? Lamb of the Lord is our Lord. That's the name we give to the Lord. Anyway, so let us just think about this, right? And just receive the blessings that medicine brings into everybody's, right? And so let us just put people in the hands of the Lord so they can be receiving blessings of healing, right? And so they can be called by the Lord and receive dreams, right, with the Lord, so they can be living in heaven as they receive their healing, right? So they can receive the call to have a mission with the Lord, and so they can be saved too. And let us just give thanks to the Lord that we gather together and we join all the people from this world who pray for their soul salvation and for that bring the call for the professionist in the heart of every single woman and man. And so the Lord can prepare the path, right, to all the children as they see their parents as an example, right? And if they don't have parents as an example, so they can be the example for their parents, right? A lot of parents sometimes don't watch how they live and how they make their living around. And it's sometimes worth it to see that some of the children, as they go to the public education, they were transformed in somebody not just profitable, but something human, somebody caring, somebody worth it to be a human. So let us dismiss and we gather together next time. The Lord bless you and keep you always.